Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok, Chapter 48. Before I get into the first of this month's reviews, I of course have to mention my subscriber goal for 2021, hitting 5,000 by the end of the year. So if you're already a fan of the channel and you're not subscribed, you might as well, time to reach that goal. The other thing is my Patreon. If you want to help support me and the channel directly or get access to some extra content, you can always become a patron. I have a link to my Patreon down in the description. Without any further ado, let's get on with this month's review. I did not mean to rhyme there. Also, as I'm sure some of you have noticed, last month's review was uploaded on my backup channel instead of this channel, and my Chapter 46 review no longer exists. That's because my Chapter 46 review got copyright strike. That's what put us up to 2 copyright strikes. So, for this review, and for all Ragnarok reviews here on out, I'm going to have, like, one panel with a static filter over it. And that will be pretty much the only image I use in the video, other than my YouTube avatar, and the occasional piece of fan art when I need to talk about something really important. So, yeah, this is really more of a video meant to be listened to, like a podcast or something, though that was always what I intended with my content, so go for a run, do some work, whatever, sit down, relax, maybe grab a snack. I have no idea what time it is where you live, so maybe eat breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever. Eat some shit. Yeah, so, Chapter 48. Once again, first of 2 chapters this month. I read Raws, so, of course, I already know what happens in Chapter 49, so there will be no theorizing about what happens. We won't get any of that until the next review, which may be out later today, depending on when they release the translation. So anyway, this chapter picks up with a clash between Buddha and Zarafuku, both of them getting knocked back. Zarafuku is, as always, trying to slash at Buddha with his Misery Cleaver, and it not working. He's come up with this new attack where the back of the axe bubbles up and creates these spikes that try to stab Buddha. Of course, he blocks all of them. So then he turns it into this 3-section staff with swords at the end of it. And instead of like a chain connecting it, has a spine. Which is gross, but cool. So, my kind of gross. So then, in response, Buddha turns his stealth staff into the 6th realm staff, 1st realm, Lokapala, the 12 Deva axe. So, in the last chapter, I believe, Buddha's staff turned into a club, and we got the explanation that it changes based on his emotions, not on his desires, and when it changed, he was like, oh, I guess it's time to use you. So, that seems a bit different from here, where he's just changing it into this halberd in response. However, I believe Lupus on the Shumatsu no Valkyrie Discord server made an interesting point, in that this staff pretty much represents Buddha having to conquer his emotions, which is something you had to do to become the Buddha. So, it's likely that part of enlightenment is just actively controlling your emotions, not letting your emotions take over, and getting the best of you, you know, as they are with Zarafuku. So, in Buddha's case, he can control his emotions, and can control them in such a way that he can, for the most part, use whichever weapon he wants. It's very likely that there will be situations in the future where Buddha's emotions will be affected in such a way that he uses one of his weapons without intending to, and that will probably lead to something bad happening. But anyway, they start getting into CQC. This is all pretty well choreographed. After a while, Zarafuku tries to slash at Buddha. Buddha jumps over it and starts doing a bunch of downward thrusts at him like Poseidon. Zarafuku is getting hit a lot in this chapter, and he, so far, has not landed a single strike on Buddha, who just keeps blocking, parrying, and striking Zarafuku over and over again. Now, eventually, Zarafuku's Misery Cleaver turns into this weird, veiny ball, which turns into the Misery Cleaver Storm Formation. It's like a giant flail with knives at the end of each of the strings. It's pretty cool. My favorite part of this fight so far is just the variety in weapons and the resulting variety in choreography from them. So, Buddha remarks about how Zarafuku's puberty is a lot of fun because it's leading to all of this crazy shit happening, And then his staff turns into the second realm, the human realm, the unshakable cord cannon, Akshaya, the indestructible Vajra sword. Even though that looks like more of a dagger, I guess it's a short sword. It's just big, and really, it's like stubby. So it looks more like a big dagger than a sword. But yeah, Buddha is just blocking and dodging all of the shit Zarafuku throws at him, and eventually, because of how chaotic this storm formation is, it starts almost hitting the audience, which leads to Buddha going and protecting the audience, which of course gets him plenty of compliments. And Zarafuku gets very pissed off about how everyone loves Buddha, and how no one's ever looked at him before. Which, when you think about it, other than basically the first time that he saved someone, everyone ignored him after the fact. When he came back and was, like, filled with all the misery and suffering of humankind, basically no one paid any attention to him. Like, he was a nobody. Whereas for Buddha, everyone's loved Buddha. When he was a prince, everyone loved him, and then when he went on the path towards enlightenment, everybody was like, man, Buddha, you're so fucking cool, such a nice guy. So he got all the love and attention, while Zarafuku's just been completely ignored. This is definitely like a little kid thing to say, for the most part. This is something a kid would have a big problem with, is, you know, getting no attention and everyone else, or giving their attention to another person. Even though that, like, they really didn't do too much different. They both tried to save humanity from their misery. But Buddha got all the credit for it because it was more effective without him trying, which is what really stings for Zarafuku, is that he gave his all, and it didn't work, and he didn't get any appreciation for it. So Zarafuku tries to do that thing where he turns all of the gook in the misery cleaver into, like, a spear. It almost hits Buddha in the face. There's this very funny panel of it coming at Buddha, and him just having this fucking blank expression, but he just moves his head to the side and dodges it. So Buddha pulls out some hippie shit and says, Zero, you gotta love yourself, man. So Zarafuku, of course, is like, what the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But then, when they get into this really up-close clash, and you notice the Misery Cleaver's gotten very small now, Buddha says that he actually really likes Zarafuku. And Zarafuku doesn't seem to believe him, but then we see Buddha just shining with this cool shit in the background. He seems very genuine. He really, truly does like Zarafuku. And this gets a very big reaction out of him. Like, he gets hit with the love beam. There's this big shockwave. Some of the light starts to return to his eyes, and the cleaver completely shrinks and disappears. So he has no more misery anymore, but he seems kind of pissed off. So Buddha remarks that Zarafuku's got a nice look on his face, and then he drops his weapon and gets into, like, a boxing stance. So now they're going to have a bare-knuckle fight, because Buddha understands what's really needed to help get Zarafuku out of his funk right now. So these two guys go blow for blow. Zarafuku finally lands some hits on Buddha. They don't do anything because it's a small child. Well, actually, no. Zarafuku is ridiculously buff for a child. But, you know, the size difference is very big. So, you know, weight classes. He's not doing shit to Buddha, for the most part. Buddha looks like he kind of gets a little knocked back with the punches initially, but they're not doing any damage to him. So he's just doing this entirely so that Zarafuku can be very happy, you know. It's a punching bag. It's like a stress ball. When you're really pissed off, you just gotta squeeze it, get out all the anger. And that's what's happening here. And as a result, Zarafuku is the happiest he's ever been. And you see his eyes have cleared up now. They're not all fucked up and full of darkness. So the cloaks of God and man are cast aside with everything laid bare. And Zarafuku is finally redeemed. He's finally stopped being that super emotional, edgy little shit, and he's gone back to being original Zarafuku. And then Buddha lands a knockout blow, and it seems like the fight may be over now. I have brought up many times, well, we've only gotten so many chapters, but I've brought up a few times, that this fight seems to be following the pattern and being very similar to Adam versus Zeus. So round 5 was pretty similar to Thor versus Lubu, in that it was just two strong guys knocking the shit out of each other, for the most part. Whereas with this fight, we got a surprise human fighter with a very overpowered eyeball ability, who has so far gone completely unhit by the other fighter who came in as a surprise and changed up who the original fighter for the round was supposed to be. And now we have the overpowered beloved human fighter knocking out the surprise god fighter. I wonder if it will continue to go the same way from here, or will we perhaps diverge from the path of Adam versus Zeus? Who knows? I mean, I know, but you guys who don't read the rods don't know, so you're just gonna have to wait and find out till the next chapter comes out, with maybe later today. I had wanted to do a stream later today. Maybe I'll still do one tonight, depending on when the chapter comes out. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we'll do a stream tomorrow or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we just won't get a stream this week. Who knows? But yeah, with that is all I have to say for Chapter 48 of Record of Ragnarok. You can, of course, expect my review for Chapter 49 to be out whenever Chapter 49 comes out. So, look forward to that. And if you're not subscribed, you should. You should click that notification bell so you don't miss it when it comes out. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen, Kengan Omega, and Chainsaw Man, I do videos in this series as well, so you should check out my channel if you're interested in those. If you enjoyed discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. And since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons, Archbear CJ2K, Fuse, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Moonshadow935, Rat, and Ryzen 4K. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at the end of videos or access to reviews for Solo Leveling and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.